without further ado, I'm going to introduce our awesome speaker for tonight. Okay, so he is New Zealand's only director at the moment. We still have faith someone else will be next as well. He currently lives in Christchurch, New Zealand. He is the epitome of Team No Sleep. And he is always ready to serve us on the Zooms or at live events, and is very passionate about informing us all about Crowd One and the Crowd One updates and presenting. He's a great speaker. He's all about family. Without further ado, I welcome Mr. Stephen Davis. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you, sis, and welcome everybody. You've heard a little bit about an introduction to myself, and what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to take you through a bit of a walk through my life from the beginning to where it is now. And so I'm going to give you a saying which I'll say now, and I'll also say it at the beginning because it's something that I've taken to heart through my life, especially in recent times. And that saying is that we have one life, so live life fully, so that you and I can have no regrets. And so I hope that when you listen to my story, that at least you're going to find one thing in this next 30 minutes or so that will touch your life. Because I always believe that if you get one thing out of every half an hour that you plug into learning from someone somewhere, then that's special enough. And so yeah, let's start and let's see what my life's all about. There's some of the stuff you'll know and some you won't know. So I grew up in New Zealand. I was born in a place called Otara, which is in South Auckland, one of the lower economic places inside out my country. And I'm born to two different nationalities. My mother, she's a first generation Samoan that moved to New Zealand, and my father is a Caucasian. So I'm half of one race and half of the other. Inside the Samoan mix, there will be a combination of a little bit of German, a little bit of Chinese, and then the Caucasian, well, who knows, there's a variety there. But as I grew up inside South Auckland, there's a variety of things. I was a young boy full of adventure in a lower economic place. And so, as you can imagine, way back then, there was less rules than there are now. And so you'd find me and my family and my friends in lots of different places. Would be at the paper factory, trying to sneak into there, climb up into onto the big giant magazines and newspaper piles, comic piles, and we'll be digging in, making little holes, hiding from the staff, and trying to find a wee little comics and other such things so that we could, so that we could read and enjoy later on. And you couldn't do that now, right? The cops would be called on you, you'd be taken away. But back in the day, you could. That was also in the day where you had construction, like I've got construction right outside my house. They've fenced it over. They've fenced it completely. There's diggers in that. Well, you know what? They went fenced back in the day. And so what would I do? Me and my friends would get torches. There'd be holes in the road. We'd climb down into the tunnels and we'd go down with our torches and try to explore where they would go. I remember one particular time there was a digger. It had a key in it. So guess what I did? Yes, I started up the digger. And then the birds go, hey, what are you doing? We ran off, took off. That's the sort of things that we would get up to back in the day. We'd be in our own houses, we'd be climbing in and out of windows. We'd be jumping over fences to get fruits from other places that were right nearby. My parents would tell us, don't let those particular neighbors over. What would we do when my mother and father were out as we were young kids? Let those particular neighbors over. Let them come inside the house and do all kinds of crazy stuff. And me and my siblings, it seemed like we'd do this every single week. It seemed like almost every second day. But we'd trash the house while mum and dad were out, because they didn't have such rules. Well, not that I knew of under 16 had to be supervised. No, there was no supervision. There was just little kids 10 and under just doing whatever. And so that's what we did. Got all the clothes, sprinkled it all around the house, got the coffee table, turned it upside down, hopped on, give ourselves a ride around, because they had like a revolving kitchen and lounge. So you could take the coffee table around, you could take a ride. But guess what? On one of those brooms, we realized we'd scratched the table. Oh man, we knew that Samoan mum, you know what that means. Tell you more about that soon. So we turn the coffee table over, see the scratch, get all the polishes, all the stuff, because we're young kids, don't know any better. Try to polish off the scratch, can't do that. So what we do is try to hide it by placing something some sort of thing on that random piece of coffee table, which mum did discover, and we got in trouble. And I think if I remember rightly, we got at least a smack, but I think a hiding. World wrestling styles from Mum Samoan. So yeah, you know, had a crazy childhood. Really loved that part of it. Growing up using our neighborhood as an Olympic park, and racing up and down on our bikes, as well as running races, climbing trees, and doing all kinds of crazy stuff like what I've told you before. That's all the positive, freeing, adventurous, mischievous, those sort of things. And that's, you know, that's why I tell you that throughout my life, I've done my best to live it to the best of my ability, just stretch myself and do crazy stuff. And I'll tell you a little bit more as we go on. But, you know, on the sad side of things, in those years, under 10 years old, is that, you know, growing up as a mixed culture, half Samoan and half Caucasian, I never really fitted into the brown because I couldn't speak the language. And I didn't really fit into the Caucasian because I didn't have the color. So, you know, that was hard for me. And that came into my mid-teens too, which I'll share about a bit later. And so that was one thing. And the other thing is, because of mixed cultures, I think, my mother being a first generation Samoan, and my father being a Caucasian, is that my mother had the Samoan prowess, let's say it that way, and my father had the Caucasian, you know, don't hurt women. And so my mum would use her Samoan styles, you know, to give a bit of a fussy or whatever to my father. And I found at a very early age, from even as young as 4, when I remember, that I would be the person. I was the eldest. I'm the eldest of 4 siblings: boy, girl, and so I would be in the middle, so, you know, between mum and dad, and saying, you know, stop, I don't like this. I'll stop. Please don't do that. Please don't hurt. You know, well, my mother being someone, my father not fighting back, my mother, please don't hurt my dad. You know, so I found it at a very age I was the person in the gap, and so yeah, so there's some difficult times, but some amazing adventurous times as well. So I came into my teens, and then during that time, about middle of my teens, is that my father and mother decided to leave where we were living in South Auckland and move down to Christchurch. It was a better move in terms of environment, and also in terms of my father and mother moving ahead inside their occupations at that particular time. But, you know, being a young, impressionable 14-year-old, is that I had all my friends, and you probably recognize that too. And when you're around about the age of your friends established and you're starting to build a life with them, and I felt like I got jarred out. So here I had this half Samoan, half Caucasian, as well as moved out of the environment I was, which was predominantly Pacific Island, with the odd Caucasian sprinkled about, you know, inside the schools. I didn't know that until I went to Christchurch and found that I was the odd Polynesian or brown person sprinkled about all the Caucasians. And I go, what the hell? And so suddenly I learned what racism was about. And as I grew up, and so I found myself in a very insecure place, that you know, I wasn't white enough and I wasn't brown enough, and I didn't fit in. And so I found one of the very hardest things was my self-image, and I hopefully someone will remind me to come back to this, because it relates to my daughter. I'll come back to that, how you know, things that happen in life can be so helpful to help the next generation or other people around you. And so yeah, so I found myself feeling very, very insecure and about my own self-image. And so thankfully Christchurch has a winter, and so you can hide yourself if you want. They didn't have masks, you know, now we have masks, right? So there's something you can, hey, if you've got self-image, you just hide in the mask, no worries. But back then I just had scarf. And so, you know what, I was so insecure because of all these things happening in my life. Mum and dad fighting, me standing in the gap, even into my teenage years, being the person in the gap, and then moving from city to another city and having Polynesian and Caucasian not fitting in anywhere, that I found myself oftentimes just alone and tearful, because you know, I felt like I was ugly, and I, you know, and so ugly that I would cover my face with a scarf, and if anyone laughed, I think they would be laughing at me. You know, that's what I thought. It doesn't matter whether it was true to others, it was just true in me because of the environment that I found myself, the insecure I felt in my parents and where I fit in races, as well as moving from city to city. I couldn't understand it well. I just knew that I felt insecure, and so I'd hide away. Doesn't mean that was, yeah, that's really terrible to feel like that, but you know, there's some wonderful things that happened during my teenage years. I rose and excelled. I became the the top ice hockey player in my region, you know, and so it came out of nowhere. It was like the Mighty Ducks. We were the most useless team. We used to pop ourselves on the stick, and we used to go to the wall and crash into there. And we had this, and that was our coach. He was just say, we say, how do we stop? He said, go that way fast, go that way, crash into the wall. How do we stop? Go that way, crash again. But we ended up going from the very worst individuals and team to being the very best inside our region by the end of the year. So never forget that wonderful time of building friendships and in a team that excelled like no other. You know, other things that happened during that time is that helped to change my insecurity to security is that I had a wonderful science teacher, and she, you know, as an older adults, we'll probably look around younger people, we can see the insecurities often that others won't, but we would look in. And I think my science teacher looked at me for, Stephen's a really great guy, but he's a bit down on himself. And, you know, I remember her saying to me, saying, Stephen, you know, you've got I don't come out with the exact word, but you've got a beautiful smile. You know what? So that's what she said. And you know what? If there's anything that anyone will comment on in my life from that time to now, it's about my smile, right? And it's like, and so that what that did to an insecure young man is that it was a positive word at the right time, which helped me to move from that insecure place to, you know, just a positive journey to where I am now. And so, yeah, so I never forget her name. Her name is Mrs. Metcalf, and she was my science teacher. And that was in 5th form, or that would be called year 11. So, yeah, during the teenage times, yeah, I had those difficult times like others do, but also wonderful adventurous times. If I was to, this is probably a good time to, before we move on to my 20s, is to say that, you know what, through life, we can think we know things or not know things, right? So I found myself in my teenage years, fearful, you know, thinking like I knew it all, right? And so, yeah, I remember my parents saying, you know, do this, do that, or, you know, this is a wise thing to do or a wise thing not to do. And I used to think of that, you don't know. I know. And so, you know, when adults speak, it's like, no, I know. I don't know, maybe it's teenage hormones or whatever it is, who knows? But I found myself in my teens knowing everything, in my 20s thinking I knew most things, in my 30s thinking, oh, maybe I don't know most things, but I know a lot of things. In my 40s going, oh, actually, I hardly know anything. And now at 50, I realize, oh my gosh, I actually basically know nothing, but it's the beginning of knowing something. So you know what? Are you in that place? I don't know, maybe you are. And so, yeah, it's really good because as I've been able to reflect back through my life, I've been able to go, you know what? When I thought I knew it all, I hardly was open to learning. But now that I'm older, I'm so much open, realize I know so little. So I'm very much open to learning. So that's a good thing to know as you move through life. Let's go into my 20s. So I came into my 20s and then I started to, you know, move out into the workforce. I did start the workforce around about 18. In fact, I started at 14 and a half. My dad used to have me as a stop-go boy. That was my first job. Used to work on the holidays, doing stop-go for places, and used to do wonderful places like Twizel and Lake Tekapo and all kinds of other places. So can you imagine how many years ago is that? 35 years ago, having a stop-go sign, getting paid about 500 New Zealand dollars to stay in beautiful places, have wonderful food like shrimp cocktails. That's how I first think what a shrimp cocktail was. 14 and a half years old, yeah, what's this? Shrimp cocktail, my favorite, plus fish and chips and a bit of beetroot and fried egg on the side. That's what a young person like me would have. Anyway, so I come into my 20s, I went into my first job, 18-year-old government jobs, and did a few other jobs as well. And then moving into first types of relationships, and you know what, I started to move into leadership positions in different organizations. And you know, crisis hits people no matter what age. You know, I told you about when I was under 10, being the middle person amongst between my father and mother. I told you in my teenage years, talking about, you know, my self-image because of a variety of different factors that were affecting my life. You know what, and around about 18 to about into my mid to late 20s, I had 3 different different instances in leadership, and I ended up being one of the leadership team in 2 of the instances, and one and just a bystander in another. But you know what, 2 of my leaders ended up going to jail, and both of them through doing sexual stuff to people that are around them. In fact, I realized later, not at the time, but that one of them had tried to make moves on me, but I didn't know because I was young and impressionable, you know. And the third person was just basically a controller, and so they weren't a predator of such in terms of sexual, but they were into trying to control people. And so, you know, those things left an impression on me too, because, you know, we trust leaders and we hope for the best, and then when you start to realize, oh my gosh, well, one's gone to prison, another one's gone to prison, and then the other one, you find this control issue, and then they try to put on, you know, on me or on someone else, who they are, to try and control, you know, people like myself or others. And it's like, it shakes your life. And I remember that shaking my life, going, wow. In fact, it was 4 people, not just 3, it was 4. And I just went, wow, these 4 people, one of them was like over all of New Zealand and the thing they were doing. Another one was like known throughout most of New Zealand and what they were doing. And the other 2 were just like more local type things. So, you know what, it was really hard trying to figure out, you know, because 3 of them at least were inside faith, you know, in Christian type things. And so, it's, you know, in fact, one of them, and this may shock you to think when you hear it, one of them actually led me and my best friend to knowing God. And so I've shared this story before, but it's like, how does that happen, that someone who ends up going to jail for being a sexual predator can actually lead someone to God? You know, and the short answer that I have is that God can use anything and anybody, even the worst of people and the worst of behaviors. And it's more in despite of others that he does that. And so it's how I was able to hold on to my faith despite these people being like this and going there. I didn't say, oh, it mustn't be real because you are this. I just went, well, what you shared was real. I don't get it, what happened with you, but that doesn't take away from the realness that I found in my faith inside God. And so, yeah, so those 18 to about 30, yeah, had those 4 or so instances inside there. So imagine that. Maybe you've been through something similar or things like that which shake in your life, because there's always going to be something that will shake your life or my life through every decade of our living. The thing that I've learned is that to never let it stop us or take us down, not for too long anyway. It may pause us as we think about it and dwell on it for a little bit as we work it through, but do work it through so that you can move on. And that's what all I've done, is that I've just worked these things through so that I could be better. Let me reflect back for a little bit to think about one thing that I worked through that made me better. You know what? I talked about world wrestling. My mum, world wrestling. Samoans, you know, that's how you got the fussy when you're young, with the luau, the stick, or the fuspa, or the belt, or the vacuum cleaner, which broke, and then you got the blame for it. Yeah, look what you've done, you broke it. So, you hit me, that's why I broke it. You know, it's like, you know what? And but you know, I realized at a younger age that as I was coming into my 20s, I went, you know, if I don't learn a new way when I get stressed out, guess what I'm going to do to my kids if and when I have kids? I will fussy them in the stressful moment, because that's all I know. That's what my mum's done. She's done world wrestling on me, so I'll do world wrestling on them. And so I realized and learnt that, put in place that when I have kids, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this and this and this instead. And so you guess what? When I did have kids and then I got into that stressful moment, because I consciously made a decision to change, I did this and this and that. So instead of giving him the fussy and the world wrestling styles, and so I changed my default way of living so that it was higher than the generation before. And that's one of the things that's helpful too, is that to realize that if we don't learn something new in our life, that we'll revert back to the default that we've learned, and so we'll behave that way, even if it's something that we don't want to do. So it's really important to recognize what we've learned, how we've learned it, and if it's not helpful, to change it. So then I came into my 30s, and then I got married. I'm going to speak very truthful. You know, I had been 8 years not married, and I've shared this with 1 or 2 people. But you know what? I said, the next person that I kiss, I'm going to marry. That's what I said. Can you believe that? 8 years, I went, next. I know, foolish, right? But that's what I said. I said, next. And so I kissed this person, and I said, yep, I'm going to marry this one. And 3 months later, we were married. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? And we were living in two different cities. We were, and yeah, and then we ended up married. And let's just say the first 18 months was just the craziest time ever, because it's like we hardly knew each other. And sometimes some people will say things to you like, if I used to, because I'm great at talking, right? So I just said, I love, let's just say an example, I love movies. And you know what the other person would say? Hey, me too. And then I'll say, and I like this, and they'll go, hey, just like me. So I found like I had a parrot, and I didn't even realize it because I was just in love. So yeah, it's quite funny. But you know what? After 18 months of working through, I thought, oh well, that's okay. I'll just do my very best and make the most, because marriage is for life. And so that's what it is. 18 months later, we settled down and we started to build, and we had 3 beautiful kids and started to build our life. I became a police officer during that time, or just before we met, and then continued. I was a police officer for 13 years. And that was pretty stressful, but it was really, really worthwhile. I'm so glad that I stretched myself to into that. People said, what, you're a police officer? You're too smiley for that. And I thought, oh well, we'll just see what happens. And I ended up becoming the 3rd. And so when I went through police college, I was in the top 3. And you know what? I think there was only a half a point between the person who came first inside our wing and me who came third. So there was like a quarter point between first and second, another quarter point between second and third. So people thought, whoa, this guy is we thought he was just a bit of a larrikin, bit of a funny guy, but look, he's actually doing okay in policing. And so you saw some really terrible things inside there, which you can only imagine inside policing. But I also was able to do some wonderful things because Smiley Steve was always did the best to be fair by people and always tried to give grace, even in spite of the law, to say that, you know what, yes, you've done wrong, but if you rectify this, this, and this, then that will disappear from you. So I'll give them the opportunity to take personal responsibility for their life so that they could move forward. And which some did. I don't know most, because most people you don't see come around again. They just sort of drift on unless they're a repeat offender, and then you'd see them again. So yeah, I did 13 years of that. I'm glad I moved on. Something that you probably don't know, but when I came into my 40s, we had 3 young kids, and then I came home one day, and this is one of the parts that you'll hear. And I remember working hard at work, and I came home one day to find I was 43 at the time, and that my wife had moved out during my shift. And so in a very, very short amount of time, I found that we had to sell our home, and $500,000 of savings and earnings and house ownings, house assets and everything went out the door. And I was back in my bedroom of my parents' house, and that I'd been from my 20s to when I got married. And so it was really humbling and numbing as well to think, wow, I had it all. I had what everyone says is success. I'd gone to school, got a certain amount of certificates, then I got into work, did well at work, and then I got into a great career, and then we got a home. I had marriage and kids and a family, and I was building towards retirement. And I already planned it, that I was going to get to this certain type of thing in my career, and I was going to go to the end as a police officer, and there I was, lost it all, and I was back at home. And I'll share on here too is that one of the things that I did is that I ended up in terms of where I was working there, and I've never shared this with you guys, but I fought the system. And I remember, because there was something that was there not quite right. I'm one of these persons that likes integrity, and so I fought the system. And I remember talking to a few wise people in the law, legal, and they said, don't fight the system. What you find is they'll gang up, and they will make you a scapegoat, and then it'll be all over for you. And I didn't listen hard enough. I thought, as a Christian, I thought, you know what? No, I think right will win over. I was naive to think that right would win over here on earth. It'll win in other ways, but not necessarily here on earth straight away. And so so I fought the system, and I lost. And I saw the so-called people. I saw principles, laws, rules, and all that broken, all in aid of people trying to protect their own reputations. And I was like that. Those initial legal people told me that I was made like a scapegoat, and for what happened there. And I thought, oh well, you know, at least I kept myself intact as much as I could, but it was part of the destroying process of me being at home with my parents, no marriage, and no further career inside that field because I fought the system, you know, and so I felt at the lowest low. It was the bleakest time of my life, and it got so bleak that I remember even one of my family members put the boot in. You know, they said, "Oh no, it's not that bad." It was so bad. It was the worst ever, and in my life. And I've always been a very positive, hopeful person. But for the first time in my life, I couldn't see anything but black. You know, and so it took me 2 years to get out of that position. I remember my mum coming in so many times, and Samoan mum, so she'd either come with the food to, "Hey, tea's ready, Stevie, tea's ready," always more than enough, right? And or you know, and if I said no, I said, "Oh, I'm not hungry right now, mum," stuff like that. She would say, "Are you okay?" And I would say, you know, and just very truthfully, you're saying, you know, no, I'm not okay. But like mum being great mum she is, would come up and give me a hug, you know, a hand on the shoulder, a kiss on the cheek, and say, "You'll be okay." I said, "Yeah, I'll be okay." She said, "You know what? You should write a book about this one day." And you know, that also started something where I wrote a book. You know, not so much about that, but it was about the worst crisis, but not specifically on what happened during that time. And you know what? And that's what I say, that it doesn't matter. You know, sometimes we can have the best of intentions to move forward in life, but sometimes we get it wrong or others get it wrong. It's okay, because what happened during that worst crisis in my life, it birthed something different, which led me in a direction that where I am with you guys today, and doing got a book, and also got a public following and a leader in crowd and all that stuff. So I look back and I'm thankful for everything that's happened to my life during when I was younger than 10, when I was in my teens, my 20s, my 30s, and even inside the worst crisis in my life, because it caused me to stop and reflect on things that had happened in the past, how stubborn I was, how busy I was in moving forward, but not stopping enough just to reflect on life and to work out situations that needed to be resolved so that I could actually move forward more whole inside who I was. So after 2 years, I realized that the offline world I could not build anymore, not anything like I built up to then. So yeah, that's when I first started to open up to the online world, and I kept failing so many times. But I got better and better at this online world, and I realized that this is the way forward. I just don't know how to do it properly. And so then I got to Crowd One, and I'd been doing construction for the last 5 years, and I was very fit. Like for the first, I thought that my genetic makeup was I couldn't have abs. But then when I worked for construction, I looked down one day and I went, "Have the abs," and I thought, so that's what it is. It means more physical workout. And if you work out for up to 8 hours a day, that means you can have abs. Oh, right, I get it. So yeah, I was very fit, and I was just, I thought, wow, amazing. But I knew that I couldn't do this for much of my life. It was very hard out. Can you imagine? I was like a commando. If you've seen any photos, I was like a commando on the floor, a commando in the ceiling, going through pipes and all kinds of stuff. And then also commando around lifts and ceilings and commercial and residential buildings. Yeah, so very fit, but I knew I couldn't do it for life. So I was looking for something to move forward in, and Crowd One was that business, has been that platform. And so you've heard the story. Yeah, I said no 3 times, but with COVID looming and in between jobs, because I didn't realize that COVID was going to hit us all, like most of us didn't. Then I said yes to the 4th time, and that was when John came back to me his 2nd time. He was the first person that came, and he was also the first person to come back 2 times to me. So I said yes, and I just gave it everything I had, and to learn as much during this time. And that's why I've been able to become successful to where I am today. An author, because I said yes to that, and to writing a book with a multimillionaire, and just sharing the very hub of what I learned in that. You know, I talk about the different tips right there, you know, the different steps to through crisis to being limitless success. And that's what's helped me to get from where I was then to where I am now and where I'm going to be in the future. And I always look to resolve things as much as possible so I can move ahead cleaner and clearer inside life. And so here I am. I've moved forward to where I am at 50 years old. And can I tell you that at 47, as I came through that crisis, I said three things. I said, number one is I want to get free of the 9-to-5 grind. Number two is that I would love to go on a cruise. And number three is I love to find the love of my life, because my life had so broken down. And you know what? All three things have come true. I said I want to do all three by the age of 50, and every single one of those is coming true as we speak today. Financially, 6 figures for the first time in life, not just crowd run, first time ever in life. And the cruise I've been on too, and the person who took me on those cruises is the love of my life. So yeah, so here you go. It's all coming in. So I just say to you that it doesn't matter what you go through, what I go through for life. It's just important that you keep making those plans for your future and keep stepping or falling forward so that we can make the most of who we are and where we're going. I did say I'd come back to one thing, and so I will do that now. Remember, I told you about how insecure I was when I was a teenager, and I talked about my daughter. So I'll just come back and briefly mention her. I came back from being overseas to find my daughter had changed between the time I'd gone away, 9 weeks, and the time I come back. Oh man, when I went away, she had long hair, and she had long hair, and she was wearing girly clothes. And I came back, and she was like a skatey with short coloured hair. All this idea, I was like, what is going on? So I just sort of asked her mum. I said, "What's happened?" She said, "Oh, she took a bit of skating." I went, "Okay." And then, but what I found out over the next few months till recently is that she was going through a really difficult time, and that what she'd learned on the internet and through school, unfortunately, with a lot of the things that are going on there, had really left her confused, and so confused that she felt really, really insecure, and was making some really sad decisions in her life. And she was 11 going on 12. But you know what was really great, and this is why crisis is really good. If we're vulnerable enough, it can help to open other people up. And so what I did is I just sat down with my daughter, and I just said to her, "You know what? I'm going to tell you something about Dad." And so I told her all about me. I said, and I shed tears, so she saw Dad crying, and then we had laughter, because I make people laugh. So we're laughing and crying all in 10 to 15 minutes, and I took her through a journey in life. And I just said, "You know what? Your dad was insecure as well. You know what? And your dad used to feel ugly and used to go to playgrounds at night time, or even time, sing little sad songs on the playground, lonely songs, yesterday, all my troubles. I'd sing my songs like that, and I'd have and I said, Dad used to wear a scarf around because I felt so ugly. And you know what? And I never told my parents either. To this day, they have no idea that I went through that most difficult time during those teenage years. I said, I don't expect you, my daughter, to tell me as well. I just hope that you will. I hope you will tell someone. If it's me, that's all right. If it's not, that's okay. I didn't do it either. And then I just said, you know what? It's harder for you now than it was when I was young. And I said, at least we had it in 2 channels on the TV. We had no internet. You've got how many? And what's going on the internet? You can confirm anything. Your worst fears you can confirm on the internet, as well as your most greatest joys. And I said, school is also very difficult because you've got so many options, not just about for school life, but also about sexuality and how to live your life and all this stuff. And I said, I'm sorry about that. It's just, I can't do much about that. What I will do is share my life with you, and I will support you and love you no matter what's going on inside your life. And so, you know what? I've been able to share another part of my life with someone who's very, very dear in my life, so that she can be stronger. And you know what I've seen since that time? And her mum's probably done something similar, but with her, my daughter since then, she's taken the initiative to say, "Hey, Dad, can we go to the movies?" And this is something that she said, "Just me and you." I said, "Yeah, let's go." And then another time she goes, "Can we go to the groceries?" I said, "Yeah, just me and you." I said, "Okay." "Can we go secondhand clothing shopping?" I said, "Yeah, just me and you." "Yeah, okay." So I'm smiling because she's doing it. We did baking as well, just me and her. And these are things we hadn't done for up to 2 years, and that's the wonderful specialness of just being a real person, getting to the heart of things, and doing your best just to let the walls down and share with anyone who comes with you if they're open enough to receive, then be open enough to give. And I was open enough to give to my daughter, and able to see her move forward to where she is now. And she's more girly again, just into the bit of a girly that I've grown up and grown to love as well. So I hope this is helping you. I started by saying that this is my testimony, and I'm going to finish it by saying, you know what, this is my testimony, and that we do have one life. And I really encourage you, as I'm doing myself, no matter what crisis comes, I want to encourage you to live your life fully, so that you can do as my t-shirt says. But not only that, is to do what I always say to myself, and I encourage others to do, so that you'll have no regrets inside life. So thank you for letting me share tonight my testimony.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Stephen. That was powerful. And thank you so much for making time to allow us into your world and get to know you on a deeper level, and just allowing those layers come off. Yeah, that was beautiful. Yeah, first of all, I just wanted to say I laugh when you always impersonate your mum's Samoan accent. And I was going to say, oh yeah, and I loved how you shared how your science teacher, she, no one knows what we were going through, what you were going through at the time, and in that perfect timing, I don't know if you've heard that word kairos, the kairos timing, she spoke into your life at that very point when you needed someone to give you hope. Because, as teenagers, regardless if you're a teenager or an adult, people are going through suicidal depression, moments in their head, and you needed to hear that, that you have got a beautiful smile. And look, it could either make you sink or swim, and it made you, it made you see yourself in a different perspective, because someone spoke life into your life and didn't know your journey. So that was awesome. And obviously it helped boost your self-esteem. So praise God for your science teacher. And sorry to hear about the leaders that lead you to God. But yeah, I commend you, because usually when we look up to leaders, that affects the way we, that could have made you just give up on your journey with God, but you didn't let that. They came into your life at the right timing, and they led you to Christ. And look where you are now. You're still walking with Jesus. So that's beautiful. And just to hear about your mum, like your mum will always be your number one cheerleader. And I love the stories that you share with, when you go visit your mum, and she'll always be your number one cheerleader. And she's always been there, and she will continue to be. And no doubt she's so proud of you and the man that you are today. And just to hear about your determination and courage to build an online business before Crowd One. It was like God was preparing you for Crowd One, you know what I mean? Because you were like determined to build an online business. So that's awesome to see you flourish in that. And thank you for sharing about your daughter, and it's just awesome to see you be that Superman figure in her life and in your children's life as well. I just wanted to end with the meaning of your name, Stephen. So language, cultural origin is Greek, inherent meaning is crowned, spiritual connotation is blessed, and scripture is 2 Timothy 2:5. Also, if anyone competes as an athlete, he does not win the prize unless he competes according to the rules. Yeah, so that's you. That scripture speaks about you as a person, how you're all about integrity. You're not one to cut corners or anything. And we're so blessed to have you on our platform, because sometimes when I read things, it's just jargon to me, but I love it how you always make time to break it down and dumb it down. It's like, yeah, just to make it easily readable and easy to understand for all of us. So we're really blessed to have you in our lives, and thank you for always serving, as the Team No Sleep Crowd One TNS member. So yeah, thank you. Okay, so if anyone wants to share some words of encouragement for our brother Stephen, please feel free to unmute and share. Thank you.
Very good. My mum would say, "You're famous for that, Stephen Davis. You're famous for losing things. You're famous for losing things, Stephen Davis." The other day, I'll tell you, the other year before she went to restaurant, she came in, I was lighting a fire. This would be 40-something years old, 48 years old. She goes, oh, you can do that? I said, Mum, I'm 40 years old. Of course I can do that. She goes, oh, but you're famous. I said, famous for what? Famous for lighting things on fire. I said, Mum, there was one time when I was under 10 years old. Mum, I'm not famous for that. I'm famous. Yeah, I'm famous to my mum.
Hey, good testimony, brother, and proud for you to be my sponsor. You know, this guy was, he went through probably some of the darkest times in my life, always there for me, always had patience for me. I'm really surprised he's still got hair. I'll tell you, I was going to say, when I first started off, was not good at digital or anything in this, and I thought, how am I ever going to build this business? Because me and tech, we're like sandpaper and glass. But anyway, Stephen taught me how to do that, especially when we got locked down into COVID. But hey, great leader, mate. Was going to say we appreciate you. Well done, mate.
Thanks, brother. And thank you, Faith, for sharing what you shared about me as well. I appreciate it. Thank you for both of you sharing.
Chole!
Hey, friend. How are you, my bag friend?
Hello, Auntie Friend.
Auntie Friend.
Our own little joke saying, oh my gosh, brother, wow, what a powerful testimony that you have shared with us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you. I just can't thank you enough for being such a supportive brother throughout my time being in Crowd One, for giving up your time to with Production Hour, and for anything that we ask of you. Like Faith said, mentioned that you break down things, and we are truly grateful and truly blessed to have you as part of our team, this whole crowd that we have. You are amazing. I'm grateful that you, man, I used to procrastinate a lot. I'll live for tomorrow, I'll live for tomorrow. I was that person. But I was grateful that when we met up for organising the Auckland events, the first Auckland event, I was in a dark place too. And you know that, being diagnosed with cancer, you were that support along with everybody else. If I can do it in 24 hours, anybody can do it. And you had that procrastinating, and then when I saw you just post up in our group chat, I learned that, and I'm thankful. Is there any, I know that there's a few of Samoans in here. Are you able to unmute? I just want to sing a song. I know I'm going to be a bit flat, but this is one of the songs that Stephen, your mum used to sing.
Oh, wow.
I just want to do the first verse. I might be a bit flat, but this is for you, brother. Your mum, man, love her to bits. So it's wawhawheta you
wawhawheta Malmali Mataeba
Watasilava
Oi
Watasilava oi Ilo ude
Thank you, guys. Thank you, family.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you, sis.
Talofa Stephen.
Talofa tamali'i.
I just want to say thanks to the Lord for your testimony tonight.
what you share about your testimonies, your life, especially with your mom. It looks like she's the key to everything that happens for you up until now. And I love the way that you share that God was always there. Everything you do for your family, you always mention God. You know, in the Fasa more Stephen, our old Kaumatuas and the queers say, and it says in the Bible, if you do what your parents say, not doing stupid things, the respect in little things like get a cup of sweep the floor. It's a blessing every day, because once in a lifetime we live with our parents, and then what we learn from our parents is who we are at the moment. The way we talk, the way we walk, when we sit and when we walk in front of people. We have 3 words. Tulo, it means excuse me. Fafatai, it means thank you. And fa'amolemole is please. Those 3 words is our ticket to the world. And that is who we are. Listening to your testimony tonight, you share about your past. Things happen in the past, you let go. We were all once a child, and people take advantage of us. And I heard what you shared tonight. And it happens to me too. So I believe everything you say, Stephen. When we were young, we broke everything in the house. That us mom and dad say, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. So when your mom say that to you, it reminds me of my grandmother. So what you are now, Stephen, is everything about your mom. And the beauty of it, you were stubborn, but now you're a beautiful, beautiful person. And you always reach out to the team. You share to the person who shared this blessing to me. And I share to everybody who are on this call. So, Fafatai Telelama, I salute to you, Steve. And I'll sing a song for your mom too. Savali Vali means go for a walk. Tau Tala Tala means too much talk. Alofaya Teo, it means I love you. Take it easy, bye bye, little. Yoo-hoo!
Yahoo!
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you, sis. Really appreciate that. And you know what? Is if there's anyone coming up, you know, I remember my mum's story giving the fussy, you know, and we'd do something wrong or wrong in her eyes, and she'd make us. Did this happen to you? She'd make us kneel with her hands folded, and she says, "Why are you?" After we got the fussy, why are you crying? I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean why we're crying? You're just giving us the fussy. You know, stop crying, I'll give you some more. And you want me to hang you by the roof? It's like, no, Mum, I don't want you to hang me by the roof. And what do you have to say to me? Sorry, Mum. And what else? And we'll never do it again. And then what happened? You always say that. You, Mum, but we'll never do it again. Next time we'll do it up, kneeling, same thing happened, eh? Anyway, that's our parents. Thank you. Thanks for sharing, sis.
I'll just jump in there, Steve. Shona here, guys, from Brisbane. Yeah, no, just it's been an amazing journey, Stephen. And you, I better look on this side, eh? It's been an amazing journey, Stephen, from day one. You know, we've you know, definitely been one of the pillars for the Australasian team. You know, definitely been doing. When we first started, you know, one of the guys that was just doing the heavy lifting, you know, until we had a lot of hands on, you know, and, you know, just thank God for that. But yeah, it's, man, you know what, it just kind of seems like sometimes if you really think about it, it's like almost 16 months, you know, it's like, wow. But the journey just kind of feels like it's been less than a year. Just, I don't know, it's just been, you know, just everyone just plugging in. But loved your story. Just kind of just reminds me, you know, I'm an Otara boy myself, and just moving around like that. I didn't go to Christchurch, so I pretty much went to Christchurch when I went down there for a scholarship. But just love your story. I love how you do honor your parents. You know, that's one thing that was taught to us when we were young. You know, that to honor them, man. It's like and even though it's not strong these days, people don't really honor don't think that's an important thing. But just seeing you like what Faith said, your posts and all that, man. I said, man, that's gold stuff, man. You know, those things are just things that are just so important, you know. And we love your work, man. Hey, man, this is just the beginning, man. We have man, crowd one hasn't even opened yet, man. Shucks, you know, I can see we've got some of our friends here from Dubai on, and you know, it's just it's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to travel some more and build the crowd with yourself and along with all these amazing leaders here tonight. So no, thank you, Stephen. God bless you, brother, and thank you for all that you've done for our Australasian team.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for coming back to me for that second time, man.
Oh, I tell you guys, man, if you guys haven't heard, you know, sometimes this is probably the biggest thing that I've written this down. It's just one thing that I do remember just from one of our preachers. You know, sometimes faith is by hearing. If you hear, you know, when you've got that gut feeling, even though, and like I remember when I first approached Stephen, man, he gave me the biggest, longest text. It was just like 6 pages.
Oh, I don't know if it was that long, bro. Come on.
Oh man, okay, it was 5, but it was cool because it was, you know, he just told me his point of view, and was and I didn't know that you know, you have to, oh man, you should have been doing gambling, man, you should have been doing that, man, blah blah blah. And I said, and you know what, it kind of put in a question, I questioned myself too. True, I think this guy's right. Well, remember, this we were just starting, and then I was in the mines. A little did I know that, and then I think it was like a week later, Tina sent me a text. Oh, I tried to show it to Stephen, and she said the same thing.
I cut and paste it. I said, John's already come to me, brother.
But I tell you guys, you know, you know, Tina rang me one night when I was in the mines. And I just said, you know, I just had a dream of Stephen last night, you know, sometimes I think at the time, you know, I was really into my word. And sometimes when God speaks to you, and even though I just thought, you know what, I think this guy's gonna probably tell me to maybe F off or something, because because I already knew that the other girls were already, but I think at that time, honestly, we were already like I started to be the gift code dealers, and that when we were seeing real money, we were seeing the money, and that was just coming through. And I said, no, man, I've got to talk to them. And I think, like Stephen said, the timing was just right. The timing was just right. And I tell you, when he started, there was just guns blazing, man. He just like boom, 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 boom. But you know, never give up on anyone. You know, this business is for everybody, even though they don't see it today. And maybe don't learn from it. Learn from the story. Maybe you showed somebody and they told you to maybe F off or something, or told you where to go. If they pop up in your heart and your mind again, man, reach out to them. I'll always remember that story. This is the way it is, and look at where we are all here, where we are all now. You know, it's just thanks to just having that faith and faith by hearing. But now, Steve, man, thank you very much. You know, even though we did plan to go to Dubai next month, you know, there's too many bubbles around now, so.
Hey, don't worry. I heard it's only for presidents and above. That's what they're sharing as well. It came out late. So, hey, you know, we're not quite there yet, but you know.
Praise the Lord, then.
yeah. Hey, well, you know, just a confirmation, right?
Nah, thank you, brother. Thank you, Faith.
Hey, Stephen.
Hey, bro. Who's that on the dark? Is that you, Matty?
Yeah, it's me, mate. Hey, thank you for sharing. I just haven't been able to hear most of it tonight because I've been going out the back of Takapo and Tikakimu. But yeah, thank you for everything that I did here. Yeah, I've got a pretty long journey I'd like to explain one day, but that's going to take. But no, awesome. Thanks for sharing tonight.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much, Betty.
Hey, Stephen.
Hello, Josie.
How are
Teenage
you?
Hustler. I'm very well.
I just got 3 words, Stephen. You the man.
Oh,
Pretty simple, really. You know, we see you at it Monday to Friday. I love hearing your story. Like what Faith said, I love how you can dumb it down so we not only understand what you're saying, but you position us exactly where you were. Do you know what I mean? And we can really feel it by understanding it that way. I love how you're supportive. I think the biggest thing that is really stands out for me, where you're concerned, is you're always there. And it's all about consistency and persistency, and yeah, you just keep showing up and you'll just keep there, serving and serving and serving, and I love it and I absolutely appreciate it. I learned so much from it. What you've created in Production Hour is huge. And, you know, I'm looking at the participant numbers here at 32. I don't know why. I told somebody this the other day. I've got this number 244. And so, yeah, oh, well, now that I've told everybody, watch out for that number 244 because it's coming. Night and day, 244. Watch that number. Awesome. Love you, Stephen. Thank you.
Thank you too. Thank you, sis. Love you too. Thank you so much. Looking forward to hustling with you on the dance floor tomorrow in front before production hour.
How you going, Steve-O?
Hey man, there's my production crew member, another one. Hey Leo.
Hey bro, hey man. What do you say? You know, I'll say this. When I first decided to step out and get out of my comfort zone, I remember looking through the week, going, "Oh, who am I going to choose to be with?" You know, and I'm thinking, who do I feel comfortable with? Who's out there? You know, because I see all the leaders, and I'd look through the weekend, and then I'd see your name on Monday, on Tuesday. You know, it was like you were on all the weeks. I'm thinking to myself, man, for someone to be on there every week, man, you know, this guy must be, you know, and it's just as you said, your smile, it just gives it away straight away, you know, and I felt comfortable straight away. So it was like, I thought, oh, okay then, well, you know what, I'm going to choose this day, and I know you're on there. So, and when I first started talking with you, yeah, you just gave that vibe where I didn't put up any walls, you know, because I'm a person who likes to put up walls before I let anybody in, type thing. And it was a move forward for me, and it was a great thing for me to know that I could actually not lift up any walls when it comes to talking to you, because just the way you come across, just the way you talked was like, you know, this guy's for real. You know, he's not a faker. He's not a kind of someone that is just trying to say some good words to me so I can, you know, so I can be encouraged. But it was something else. It was a genuineness that you had that kind of passed all those walls that I would normally put up. So, you know, bro, awesome. I just thank you for that, and I just can't wait to continue this journey and expand myself like you have in your life, and then I can turn back and say, man, you know, this is where it started for me, you know, that type of thing. So big up to you, bro. You are the man, and you just keep doing what you're doing, bro, because you know, we see it. We definitely see it, and you're definitely inspiration. I can tell you that. So thanks, my bro.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate that.
Hi, Stephen.
Hello, who's there?
Hi, Stephen. It's Becky, all the way from PNG.
Oh, hello, Vicky from PNG.
Yes. You know, I just like to say something. Just few words about you. I want to say thank you so much for actually, you know, you're the man who inspires my team and I, you know, to keep going. And every time you come on webinar, we just love you. You're the man. And you know what? I just want to say you're a dynamic speaker. You're a powerful man. You're awesome. And thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. You know what? When I was younger, people used to, my best friend used to say to me, Stephen. I said, what? They said, I can't understand a word you're saying. And I was saying, what? He says, you're speaking, because I used to speak so fast. I still have a tendency when I get excited to speak fast, but it's like I'll speak, and they say, that's what it sounds like. I don't understand a word you're saying. So I've learned over the decades to slow down so that at least people can understand. So it's very funny when you say that I dumb it down and it's nice and simple. I go, wow. It all started from my best friend telling me, Stephen, I don't understand a word you're saying. And my analogies, I'd say analogies because he was great at English. You know what? He'd go, Stephen, that doesn't fit the situation. I said, it doesn't? He goes, no, because he was great at English. I was useless. I was average actually. So yeah, I'll say all these, oh, it doesn't work. Oh, it doesn't. Decades later, I finally got it right. So yeah, so thank you for saying that. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You know, I don't know if there's going to be anyone else, but you know what? I just want to say that, you know what? I found it recently. I had to get glasses. I found I got diabetes and, you know, and situations with my daughter and we're gone in COVID. But you know what? Never let anything stop you from living your life. Every decade has its crises, has its health challenges, has people passing on or whatever, but always be the person that says, you know what? That's hard. It's heartbreaking. It's destroying parts of who I am. It feels like it anyway, but I'm going to keep growing as a person. I'm going to keep making the most of this one life I have so that as I get older, you know what? I'm going to be more grateful, more happy, more content with who I am. I'm going to be more fulfilled as a person. And so as I get to the tail end of my life, whenever that is, in a few years or decades from now, it's like, man, I'm so glad I lived as best as I could or as long as I could. When I realized that I could, you know? So yeah, what I'll show you.
Okay, we will wrap it up in a couple of more minutes. If you're a bit shy to speak up, I'll give you 2 minutes and then we'll wrap it up. But thank you everyone for making time to share. Just one thing, I had it in the notes. Thank you for finally saying yes to crowd one. Like, just imagine if John never gave up. Like, thank you, John, for not giving up on Stephen, and thank you, Stephen, for humbling yourself. And you know, although you said that 5 pages of why, you know, you humbled yourself and finally said yes, and look where you are now. You're like one of the main pillars, so thank you.
Don't be so stubborn, eh? Don't be stubborn that we miss out on something really, really special, you know. And that's what I've learned. I learned through the crisis of my life. Stephen, be stubborn, but not like you were before the crisis. Be stubborn, but let it go. If you need to let it go, let it go. It's not worth it.
All right. Okay, well, we will wrap it up. But look, thank you again, Stephen, for your amazing journey, and we look forward to seeing you flourish from here to, you know, this is just, you know, you're gonna keep going glory to glory for his glory. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Well done. Beautiful story. And yeah, so everyone just unmute yourself and yeah, say thank you. All right then, good night.
Good night. Thank you, Seth.
Team, thank you, everyone.
Good night.
Team Blessing.
Team no sleep.
Thank you, Stephen and Faye.
Brother. Love you, bro.
Bless you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Let's go.
Let's go.